Alright, so yesterday we built this app here, and we were supposed to find the largest number of the three numbers, and we did that already. It was working perfectly fine. And so we built our buttons, we gave it their names, and the OK button here to process the data. So these input boxes here are just for inputting data, so we're not doing anything with them at all. So that's why they don't have any events attached to them. Same thing with this one here. This is just the output, and we're not attaching anything there at all. So the OK button here, we did was if you click OK, it loads this button btn click function, and it grabs the three data from those three text box fields. We convert each of those into an integer type, so that they match the integer type over here for A, B, and C. And we just, randomly pick A to be the largest number by default. So again, it doesn't really matter what this number is. It could be 0, it could be 1,000, doesn't matter, right? Because it's going to be overridden down here. So we check that in order for A to be the largest, A has to be larger than B and C, right? If that is not true, then we can check for B and see if B is the largest. If B is the largest, then it should be larger than A and C. Then otherwise, C has to be the largest one. Okay? And then we print it out back to the output to the text box called txt result. And since we're converting a number, largest is an integer, out to the text field, we have to convert that number to a string. Okay, just remember you have to do that every time when you print out numbers to the output. If it's by themselves. If you are concatenating with another string, I believe you don't have to do it, but usually you have to do that. And then when we run this app, and it should load, it should work. As I think we didn't change anything yet. It's taking time to load it up. A bit slow. Okay, here we go. So if I put a number 2, 4, and 6. Largest should be the third number, 6, and that's what we get down here. And if we disable this box here so it's not editable, you can see it, but you cannot change the data content when you're running the application. So that's true if you change it to be the largest number, then 44, and of course, so that was fine. And our task yesterday was to create this clear button such that when we click clear, it's supposed to wipe out the data from here, and the result as well. Okay, so that's where we stopped yesterday. And we did that yesterday. We added the button called clear. And the issue we had yesterday was when I double click this button, because we copied this button from this OK button. And yesterday I forgot who mentioned it, but yeah, it's because we copied the exact button, and that's why when you have this button here, if you double click it, right, we didn't get this one here. This one I created yesterday manually. Okay, but let's just say that if I take that out for now again, if I take that out, so it was like this yesterday before I add that in there. So it keeps loading this same button click here. So if I double click, right, it put my cursor right in here. Same thing with if I double click the OK button, right, it loads the same event, same function. And I completely forgot about this, but in Visual Studio, a little bit different. I believe Visual Basic was a little bit different, but C# is also different in this case. Now, remember that when you create everything here, when you make a copy, all the properties come with that object. The only thing that's different is the name. So if you go to the properties, so I go to properties, you see that everything comes together, right? If I make a copy, you don't have to do this, I'm just going to show you. But make a copy of that OK here, right? It looks exact same copy, everything is intact. The only different are the location. If I move location to a different place, right here, right? This location here is different because I move around, it reflects that. Other than that, it's just the name that has been changed. Okay, so we changed that. And what we didn't forget was that even though I have this here, I double click, it still loads the same function. And that is because of this reason that everything comes with that object. So if you click on the lightning bolt over here, I'm going to delete this now. So we made the same copy from there. We change it to a different color with a different text, and the name we change it to say BT in clear. So by convention, if you double click that, you should have something similar to this one, but it should say BT in clear, okay, and then clear, and then click. It has its own function. The reason why it doesn't have that is because if you click on the OK button for now, click on the lightning bolt. These are the events that are associated with this button. If you click on that, you see that if you scroll up and down until you see the click event, there is a function called BT and OK underscore click. If you expand the arrow, you see that that's the only one that it has. Now if you click on the clear button, you see that it has exactly the same event. That's why it's also attached to the same function. Okay? And to make this work, we have to, unless you want to, you can. It doesn't mean you cannot. You can have all these events, call the same function. But we want it to be different. So you can delete this, just remove that. And now it should be empty. Okay, there's no more events attached to that. And then now if you double click it, it should create its own event now. Okay, so now you see that it has its own event with a very similar name. It's called the name of the button. And then they add the underscore click. We will learn later about functions that it's optional. You can name this whatever you want. By default, Visual Studio just call it that way because that's how it's programmed to do. So it has its own event, own function to call. And so when I click that clear button, it's going to call this one and not this one up here. Okay, and that's what we wanted to do. So then if you go back to the form design, it's now listed here under the click event. Okay, so that's what we want. And there are two of them, so make sure you only pick the one that's the one you to call. So whatever you create in here, every function you create, if it's an event, if it has one of these in here in the parameters here, that is an event. And events have to have those. And they will show up here on the drop down when you create them. Okay. Okay, so now we got that working. Then our task is to write the code so that when we click this clear button, it's going to wipe out the data here, 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 in this box here. Okay, so all of them should be clear. So let's double click that and go back to the code and do that again. And this process is quite simple. All we have to do is set their text field, text property to empty string. That's the quickest way, easy way to do it. Okay, so basically we are just setting the data to an empty string. So you can do txt and for all of them. So the first one is num1, so dot text, just put equal a pair of double quotes, and they're all the same. And that's all you have to do, right? Pretty simple. Dot text, txt num3, text, and then txt result dot text. That's it. I'm clearing all those buttons to empty strings when I click that clear button. And when I add more data to those fields, if I click OK, then the OK will call this function up here and not the one down there. Okay? And we can save this now, and let's run and test this. And this should work, hopefully. So if I put something here, right, if I run it, it still works fine. When I click clear, see, it removes everything out of that. Okay, and that's what we want. So there are a lot of ways to do this. Okay, one is that maybe instead of hitting clear, you know, as soon as I hit OK and the data has been calculated, you know, clear these boxes and just leave that, right? So you have all those options to do, and I'll leave that to you how to do it. But so this is usually how you clear content. All right, so just a very simple here to show you how to read data again from 3 different fields, process the data in the back end, and output back to the console here. I mean to the form here. So if I ask you to write another program kind of similar and check to see if you know, if any of those 3 numbers is either a positive number or an even number, right? You should be able to do that. So again, you will just read the 3 numbers here, read it here, and you have to check. If I ask you, you know, how many even numbers are there? So you have to check for A, B, and C, right? And see if they're even. If they are, then you will count 1, count 2, count 3, and so on. And they display the result to the output here as well, right? So that, you know, opens a lot of doors to a lot of different kinds of apps you can write. So far we, you know, kind of use the text box, the button, and the label field. And these only allows you to type in 1 line of text. Okay, it doesn't matter how you know, how tall this can be, or you can't make the size and the height anyway. It's fixed by the font size. But you can only put 1 line of text in here every time. What if you want to put, like, you know, multiple lines in this box? Okay, so if that's the case, then I want to introduce you to a new control. And this one you will probably use quite often as well. And this is called the ListBox here. Okay, this ListBox, you drag it over here. We'll put right in here. So the ListBox is basically a list of content. You think of this like you know, a notepad that you have, or a piece of paper that you have. It has every line, and then you add your notes there, like a shopping list or something, right? So each row has a record, and you can store that data there. So it's like you're having, you know, all of these here are packed together, each row at a time. Okay, and because of this list box, you are allowed to add a lot of content inside the same box here. So if I leave that there and go to my properties, let me turn that off. So the same rules, right? Go back to, so right now there's no events attached to that. We don't want that event yet. Go back to the properties, and then the name of that will be, it's a list box. So the prefix letters would be just LST for list. And we'll put here also the result, even though it have the same name. well, not exactly the same. This is LST result. This is TXT result, right? So that three characters kind of tell you what type of control this is. This is a list box. This is a text box. So the text box has some very similar, identical properties, like background colors and all those stuff are same. The font as well. I'm going to make the font large to 25 again. As you can see that it's now big, right? And then if you scroll down to the text area, the text property, you see that there's none. Okay, there's no text property here because this is not a text box. And it has a so it's not a text box, but what it has, these are actual items in the list. So it has what's called an items list. It's a collection of data, and this list will grow. You can add and it will grow. If it grows more than this box, this height, then automatically you see a scroll bar on the right side. You can scroll up and down. And if it's too long, I believe it also had a scroll bar at the bottom as well to scroll left and right. So that's pretty nice. So if you click that one there and scroll down to the I section for the items. So items only comes with the list box and the combo box, which we'll learn later. Then it says collection. Now if you click on this little three little dots here, the ellipses, it's going to load another window. And in here is where you can put content per line. So if I put like, you know, apple, cherry, and kiwi, if I hit OK, yeah, three lines for the blank one, delete that one. Well, you see that they appear here on their own separate lines. So each of these rows is an item. So to get the apple item name cherry kiwi, you have to call its name, which is called LST result, right? And then dot items, okay, and the dot the name, or you call using the array index. It's just because it's a list, it's gonna be saved into a box that is tagged with a number that would track each of these items here. So the first one, apple, will be tracked with the index value of 0. So items of 0 gives you apple. Items of 1 gives you cherry, 2 gives you kiwi, and so on. It always starts with 0. Okay, the first one always 0, and then until n minus 1. So if I, for example, save that, and if you run it now, you will see that list is here. You can click on it because we didn't disable it, but that's it. You cannot edit it because we didn't enable that. So then when you click numbers or do anything over here, you can also output data to this list box here. So if I put something here, right, you can add 5 not only here but also to the list here. And if you keep adding, this will actually grow because it keeps adding to the list here. It's not going to replace it. So let's say that now, since I have this list box here available, I'm going to go back to the function for the OK button here, and I'm going to keep adding the number to the list here with this list here. But you know, let's clear that list. Okay, let's remove that. So to remove this content here, don't double click on it. Okay, if you double click on it, you're going to get a function. Okay. If you do that, then you will see that this button here now, or this list box, has a property. The lightning bolt tells you over here has a lightning bolt, and has a property called LST selected items here. So make sure you remove that. Otherwise, you know, if you click on it, it's going to load the function. So you want to go over here, click on it, and then just, you know, just delete it. I don't think it lets you delete from here either. If you just delete from here, let's see if it does. It might have an error. Save that, and see it has an error. Okay. So you can't just delete that function here because it's attached to that object. And the only way to do that is you have to go to the form. So make sure you are here, and if you accidentally do that, you have to go over here and then unselect that. So you have to kind of like, it's kind of tricky. See how tricky that is? Gonna select on it, and then just, you know, maybe mouse with your select with your mouse, or Control A to select all of them, and just delete and hit OK. Hit Enter. So that now it doesn't have any events attached to that. Okay. And when you want to change this content here, you have to come to the items and click on the collection and the little ellipses here to give this list here. So you can change content. That's one way. Another way is because we're so used to right-clicking with the mouse, you can go here and see this little arrow right here, right above on the top right corner. Click that, and then it also has another item that says Edit Items. So you click that, you get the same box back. Okay, so whichever way is convenient, you can do that. Okay, and you can also do right click here if you want. Usually this is faster. Right click on it, and it's Edit Items here as well. So three ways to get there. You may just delete these. Okay, once you delete these, and it should be clear. So the list is now gone. Alright, so this is called the LST result. Items, each row is an items. So let's go back to the function here. When we click the OK button, and down here the result, when we add the result to the text box called the text result, I also want to add that to the list box. So you can say the LST result dot. As you can see, there's no text here. I don't think there is. Yeah, you shouldn't see text. If you do, it'll be different. Okay, so this is not it says text, but that's not what you want. Yeah, you want the one that says item. So if you type in item, you see here, click on that, and then if you click dot, it has a function called add. This is if you want to add items. You click add to clear. If you want to clear the entire list, you put clear. If you want to remove an item, you click the remove here, and it asks you to remove at a certain number. So the index here refers to the 0 through the end position. So which item do you want to remove? Remove the first one, or the third one, or the 10th one, or whichever, right? So you can do that, or you can, again, clear again. You can also do a count. The count will tell you how many items you have, on the list. So a lot of these functions are built into this list box. And if you want to add into a certain spot, because the add function will always add to the end of the list, and that's default. If you want to add to a certain area, there's another way to do that too. Okay, so we're going to do an add here. And it's a function. So what are we adding? We're adding this largest number. Okay, we add the largest number to that list, and let's see if this will take it. I did not convert it to string. I'm just hoping it would do that automatically. If it's not, we'll convert it. So save that. And let's run the app. So here we go. If I type in 2, 4, and 6, hit OK, you see that it adds both places. Put 7 here. Okay, this is replaced, but as you can see, it's adding to the new list. If I keep hitting the OK, you see that it keeps adding that, right? And that is the nature of this list box. You keep adding to the list, always to the end of the list. And when we clear it, this did not get clear because we didn't set that, right? We did not remove the content here. So we can do that very easily, because now we can just say result.items.clear. Okay? So let's go back here to the code, and when we clear these boxes, we also want to clear the result. txt result, lst result dot items dot clear. It's a function. So I think that should clear it. So now if you run it again, put some numbers, okay, keep adding more stuff to it, you click clear, everything's gone, right? So very, very useful for this one here. Because when you do something, you want to output not just one number. You could put a lot of things here in this list box. If you want to build something like a, you want to show like what do you call it, like a receipt or a shopping cart item, and you want to list, the first item here, the name of the item, the quantity, the price, the cost for that item number 1. Number 2 is same thing, right? So you can add that here, and this list will grow. Then you can, tabulate that, get the total results, and show the output, everything here. Okay, so very, very useful here. And you don't have to do like, one per line. When I click OK, I could add everything, all together. I could add things like not just the result, but I want to add, for example, you can add more stuff to it. Let's say items here. The first item I want to add is maybe that first number, right? First number. So you can do all that all at once, and they'll be added to the list in this order. And then the largest, I'm just put a number here, but you can say something like, you can put a message there. The largest number, right, is, and then plus that. It's going to add a string and then put the largest number here on the list. So if it's too long, again, maybe a little bit too long. So if that's the case, you want to make this like longer like that, because it might be a little bit too big. So let's say if I have that, and now you run it. If I put 2, 3, 4, 5, it says those 3 numbers are here. I just basically transfer them over here, and the largest number is 5. Okay. What if you want to, add a sum of those numbers? Very simple, right? So go back to the code, and instead of doing that, you can say the sum of these numbers, or them. The sum is, and here you just put A plus B plus C, right? Well, you make sure you want to put that first like that. So the total, A plus B plus C. If you prefer, you can do this way. You can say equal int total is equal to A plus B plus C, and then put total here, right? Put total here. It's easier to manage this way. You put all your variables in the same line here. So now I get a total of those three numbers. Let's put here 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it's 9. And if you want this to be like a dollar amount, dollar values, then you just use the character C for dollar values I showed you earlier. So that means this will be changed to string, and then the character C for dollar and 2 decimal places. Okay, so now is a dollar amount and not just a regular number. Even though these are not, this could have been changed to dollar values too if I want to. So you can just say a.toString, right? And then C here. Just put a C. The default is 2 decimal places already, so that should be good. And so toString again, oops, toString C, and then one more, toString C. So converting those numbers to dollars instead of just plain numbers. And that's all you have to do. toString, and then put a C inside. Default is 2 decimal places. And now if you run it, and the result here will be like in dollars and not just numbers. See the $2, $3, $4, you get $9. And these are not formatted. We didn't format that, but these are formatted. And if you want decimal numbers like 250 or 325, then these have to be changed to a double type, right? Not an integer, because integer doesn't allow decimal values. Okay, any questions on how we built this? So the list box here, you can format, this however you like, because you can treat each record here, each item here, same as a single text box. Okay, it's like you added one text box inside each of these rows. And so that means you can write text in here, you can put a lot of stuff in here the same way you would put inside the text box. So instead of just having one text box, you have a collection of text boxes in here. And you would reference each text box or each item here using its index number. So for example, if you want to get a particular number out of this box, you have to reference its ID index. This is index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3. Okay? And I'll show you how to do that next time. But it's very, very simple. Basically, just put here the index, and then you put in here will be like 0. That will give you that 0 index. All right, so we have about 10-15 minutes left. And so I want to talk about the homework assignment for this unit. Just want to make sure you understand how that works. And unfortunately, I don't have, in the Unit 5 assignment, there's supposed to be an image here, which it's not visible here. I'll fix that up. But it will look similar to this video I posted here. Okay, for some reason, I didn't have the audio for this video. But it will look like this. Okay, you can call it whatever you want. I just call it my equipment rental, and the assignment is Eric's equipment rental. You can name whatever you want. We're going to build this form. It will look something like this. And so 3 fields here. These are list boxes. Okay. So the name of the equipment, the rental rates. If you're renting like for example, like a U-Haul rental or computer rental equipment, doesn't matter. Half day rate, you give it a different cost. A full day gets a different cost for each item. And so we have the orange button here. When you click the orange button, so initially nothing is shows in here. It should be just blank. And when you click the orange button here, it will display all this information all at once. Okay. After that, then we're going to select an item, and here we only do 3 items. So I only gave you like 3 items here. And I put a lot more in rug and things like that. You want to change it to something else complete, that's fine. It doesn't really matter. If you can't think of anything, you can use an example here, but it's up to you to add. I only require 3. If you want to do more, again, it's up to you, but I think 3 should be enough. So you put those information there, so it will look similar to this 3 white fields here. And if I select like 1, that means I'm picking this number 1 item here. And then the rental duration, age, if I type age, that means half day. F is for full day. And then I will display the bill, and this blue button will calculate that information based on the selections here, right? So if I put 1 and I put half day, so that means I'm picking 1 and half day. This is the cost for the half day. So it's a rug cleaner, half day. Price is that. And I think you are supposed to add like text as well. Not text, I mean like a rental a deposit, right? So a $30 deposit is required. So you're going to add that $30 to the rental here, which is, if it's a half day, then that would be like $46. If it's a full day, then that would be $54. Okay, and your result will display a something similar to the video here. I'm gonna go to the end here. Okay, so you see it looks something similar to that. Yeah, it's kind of small. Let me see. Yeah, so you have, I picked 2, so 2 refers to laptop, and the rental is full day, so the laptop price is $18. So in your result here, this is another list box here, put a yellow background. The first line here is the first item on the list. Just put the message here, receipt from this rental company. And then the next line is blank, so just write the empty, right, line. And then you list the name that was selected. I selected 2. So how do you know it's laptop? And this is where I'm going to show you how to grab the data from the list box here based on the index. So item 2 is the laptop, the name of the laptop, and so we put laptop here. And then if it's F, then you compare that. If it's F, then it's full day, otherwise it's half day. So you put $18 here. And then deposit is required for $30, and then you add them up, you get a total of $48, and that's what you want to display to the customer. So this is only for display purposes. Okay, yeah, for now, I think, yeah, we're not going to grab the data from here. So you're going to set up the numbers in your code. Okay, so yeah, build this form. It looks just like that. And I'll give you a clue how to kind of set up the code for one item so that can get you started. So back in here, I'm not going to do the form, but I'm just going to show you what that would look like if I were to build that first item, right? So it has the name of the item, the rental cost for the half day, and the rental cost for the full day. So if I want to, I'm going to put that something down here. Just I should remove that. Well, I'll keep this as is. I'm not going to run it, but so in your code, when you click that blue button, right, it's going to process the data. So inside here, you should put here your items list, your items, and then the first item is, say, I don't know, doesn't matter. We call it laptop, right? So you can say the name of the item is called string item 1. You can call it laptop. It's fine. Laptop. The name will be exactly just laptop. That's the name. And then you have the rate will be a double type, one of the decimal numbers. So you can say laptop half day, something like that, right? And let's just say we call it $15. And then do another one, laptop full day. Let's just say put $25. And there is going to be one for the so at the very top here you could put something like deposit. But this is fixed. Deposit is fixed, so you can use a constant. That won't be changed. Constant double, we call it deposit, and that is $30. So you can set up this way. And so I have your laptop here. You would do one for the other two items in here as well. And then based on what I select here, if I select 2, let's just say 2 is the laptop that I just have. It could be either 1, 2, or 3, right? You have to check those. So you would say if it's, if the input is coming as a 2 or 3, so you will read the input. In this case, it would be like read the input for example, I'll just call it the item is whatever that is. Let's just say I got a 2. And then you also want to read the input for the duration. Here I'm using F and H. You can use whatever you want. You can use numbers too if you want. You could say 1 for half day, 2 for full day. It doesn't matter. Okay? But I'm using a string here, or a character. So you could put a string if you want. You say like string, and then duration or something, right? And if it's in, so I read it, I got a value, let's say I got an H for F for full day. You don't know that. Then you have to check for this value. If the item is 2, then the item that is selected is the laptop. If it's 1, then it's a printer. But otherwise, is a modem or something like that, right? So I got the actual name that customer bought, and then I need to know the rental rate, duration. If it's an F, then it's full day. So therefore, full day, but the item is number 2, is the laptop. So you want to make sure you get the correct number. So it will be $25. If it's half day and if it's a laptop, then it's $15. Okay, so that is where you do the if and else block to check which item is selected, and so on. And once you get the correct result, you grab the numbers, and then you just basically add that to the deposit, and then print it to the list box, the yellow list box down here. Okay, so yeah, these 3 boxes on the top right are just display information so the user see, and the actual input are coming from these two boxes here. And you process that, it should show the result down here on the bottom of that form. Okay, so yeah, so that's your assignment. And so tomorrow is, again, it's lab day. So if you want to, you know, take care of your lab exercises really quick. If not, you can work on this one here. And if you get stuck anywhere at all, please let me know. And I will do another video to show you how to add, I guess, how to format a little bit if you want to. But I think what we did earlier, it's kind of, you know, pretty easy, pretty clear. Just the listbox.items.add. Okay, just remember that when you're adding items to your list. And the way you add in that order will appear in that order in that list box. And we are out of time, so I will show you maybe tomorrow, or if not, I have a video to show you how to show the data. Right? Initially, it was blank. It was empty, and then until you click the show button, and it will show the data there. So watch the video and see what happens when I click each event. So I click that, it shows the data. Okay, and then you will select that number based on that equipment type, and then for the rental duration. Okay, so again, if you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, keep doing those assignments, and we will maybe do a little bit more tomorrow before you do your lab. So no quizzes tomorrow. It's next week. So have a good day, and you know, drive safe out there. I'll see you guys tomorrow.